Hello YouTube and welcome back to Stevetown. This is episode 4. Once again, thank you so much for all the love and support on the previous episode, and shout outs again to Kindley for the amazing work on the spinning coaster. I don't have much to kind of waffle on about during the intro this week because it's only been a week since the last episode, and I've got plenty of stuff to show you, so rather than waffle on, I'm just going to crack on. So we are starting off here today by the carousel. But we are going to go this way today, past the bridge on the island, and we are starting off with a drop tower. Now, this thing's been on the skyline in the park for quite a while now, but I had yet to kind of decide exactly where it was going to go. But yeah, this is the spot here, just on this little corner, and yeah, it's kind of bare bones, generic. We've got this slightly rustic cover, and then the rest is just kind of a cattle pen, no theming or anything. I haven't given the ride a name yet, but the theming for the ride will basically be the sign. You know, the sign will have a bit of personality to it, and then the rest is just going to be this kind of, you know, utilitarian fences and cattle pen, nothing exciting, nice and cheap and cheerful. You know, let the drop tower do the talking, really. One other little thing to point out here is these bushes I've been using. These TMTK, they're actually little TMTK pot plants, and yeah, they just work really well as a kind of like low level hedge bush type thing, because we don't really have anything like that in the base game. I've been using this, what do they call it, white floral bush for most of my hedge cover, but as with most of the bushes in the game, it's quite large and round. But yeah, it works well enough, but once you get into like really small spaces, and you know, even if you sink it down into the ground far enough for it to act as this kind of hedge cover, you know, it's just not doing it. Whereas this, I think, looks really nice. The only issue is that obviously you have to use quite a lot of them just to fill even a small space. So I think my frame rate might take a bit of a hit eventually, but yeah, really chuffed with how those look. Coming up around this way, we've got a new area. On the left here, we've got a little entrance onto this lawn, which feeds into this building over here, which I will talk about later. And then we've also got a lovely view of some terrain work, which our next guest builder is working around. I have removed what they've done so far, just to, you know, so as not to spoil it for the big reveal. But yeah, this sightline here is going to be amazing once this horizon's been filled out a bit more. But yeah, over here we've got a bit of a slope coming up to the new area, because as I was saying, the guest builders started incorporating some terrain work. It's just inspired me to finally get off my ass and actually do a bit of terrain stuff. Up until now, I had kind of just been building everything on a flat surface, and that was very much intentional, because as soon as you start fiddling with the terrain slightly, everything takes 10 times longer. Like this like fence here, which is really simple and not even that long, took much longer than you should reasonably expect to spend in this game. But it does just pay off. Like, even just a simple little slope like this just instantly adds this extra element to everything. And again, just this kind of undulation that we've got in the terrain here coming down to the shoreline. Yeah, it looks good. I'm going to be doing more of it, I think, over in the next area as well, around the back there. Anyway, at the top of the hill, we've got a little kind of quick service area with 3 in a row. This idea to have a kind of one long kitchen with multiple quick service counters in front of it was kind of inspired by Knoebels, where they have a similar thing going on. And the rest of it is just, you know, I made the buildings and everything from scratch, but yeah, this idea to have like a one long kitchen with multiple counters serving it came from Knoebels, and I think it looks really cool. And the star here obviously is this new brand, Jubilees, which is just a little nod to Rubel and Commando Santa's Jubilee Gardens Park. Yeah, I think it's really cute. And I don't know, for some reason I just feel like this pink and brown and white colour scheme looks really good as well. So yeah, dead chuffed with that. Gonna upload this sign onto the workshop, and hopefully people will start propagating this in their parks. And then yeah, around to the side here we've just got a little picnic area for you to sit with your food and eat. And around the back we've got a toilet, Nothing particularly complicated going on there. And then off the side of the toilet we've got a backstage pathway which just basically links back around to the other side there, and then down into the area behind the wacky worm and everything, which is still unfinished, but you know, we're getting there. That'll be some of the last stuff I deal with, I expect, once everything else has been shored up around it. And then yeah, we've got this little lighthouse. Obviously, I think I said in the last episode, but I mean obviously the theme here is it's kind of a marina, beachy, watery theme, and as with the western area, it's like, you know, simple generic buildings with like little bits of theming dashed around. Like with the windmill in the western area, we've got this little weenie of the lighthouse, and you know, it's simple, it's cheaply done, and it just gives the vibe. And we've got the sort of, you know, water on the path here just to kind of sell the beach idea. And then yeah, obviously the main attraction here is this Vekoma family boomerang, backwash boogie. And yeah, I'm honestly kind of dead chuffed with this. You know, I'm not I'm crap at building coasters, so I was pretty chuffed with how this came out in the end. I was looking at Accelerator at Drayton Manor, which obviously uses the kind of default Vekoma family boomerang layout, where it just has like a standard reverse up the hill, and then it goes into this sort of figure of 8 on the side of the station, and then it goes up the spike, and the spike has this kind of wave shape to it. And I wanted to try instead having you kind of pull out of the station onto this launch platform where you get a little pause just to add a little bit of tension, and then you reverse launch into this like wave spike here, and then obviously you come through the rest of the layout, and it's these sort of like tight turns, vaguely reminiscent of a, you know, surfboard. And then the second spike for the reverse is on this kind of at the end of this helix here. And yeah, I think the effect of it is pretty cool. I'm pretty chuffed with how it came out. We're doing what we can. We've got the SLC, is that what they call it? It's like the Schwarzkopf track, which allows you to do this shuttle mode, and then the GCI train is kind of the closest I could get to what I wanted. And then yeah, you know, again, it's the simple theming. We've got this little kind of flower bed boat on the first corner here with an anchor, and then over on the other turn around we've got this buoy or buoy, which I actually grabbed from the workshop and then modified to make it kind of a bit simpler and a bit more generic. So I'll leave a link in the description for the original item that I modified. But yeah, I mean, I'm really chuffed with how this came out. Nice bright colour scheme, blue and orange, classic kind of safety orange, and blue obviously for the ocean. This kind of rack of floats mini buoys here is taken directly from the original World of Steve park. I was having a look at that just to kind of try and remember how I did this theme in the original park, and I saw this and I was like, man, that actually kind of holds up. I think I'm going to grab that. And then yeah, the queue is obviously super simple, kettle pen with a little out and back here underneath the spike, and yeah, that's all looking pretty nice, I think. And I also use these topiary bushes around this ride. I don't normally use these because they look kind of they just don't look real. They're like too square. I think they work in like super curated environments, like on the Pinewood Manor that I did for John T. But yeah, I don't know, I just felt like they were really working for this ride for some reason. They just felt right. And then obviously we've got the gravel, the pebbles. Everyone loves pebbles. After that, on this side, we've got a little gift shop. Nothing too complicated there. And then on the other side of the path, we've got the Flying Fish, which is a topspin with nobody on it for some reason. Yeah, this topspin, including the sign, I actually took from the original World of Steve, and I just sort of gave the sign a little bit of sprucing up to bring it up to modern standards. But yeah, this like splash zone and the sign and the colour scheme of the ride and all this, the kind of water sequencing that you get, I just literally took from the original park, and then I've just kind of shored it up in line with the kind of standard with the rest of the park. We've got this lovely kettle pen. I really love this colour scheme with the kind of hot reds and yellows, and then the blues and the teals, and this kind of like creamy stone. It looks really 90s to me, which I feel like works really well with the topspin, because the topspin is just kind of, to me anyway, the topspin is like pure 90s nostalgia. And yeah, dead chuffed with how that's come out. And then, final thing to look at is over on the other side of the pathway here. This is the thing that I've been spending the main bulk of my time working on since last week, which is the Boathouse at Stevetown. And ignore this little menu on the sign on the board here. This I may replace this at some point, but it's meant to be just a sort of notice board that's telling you a little bit about the history of the building and how you can book it for events and etc. And yeah, the general idea with this building is that it would be somewhere that you could book for birthday parties or wedding receptions, or a business might book it out for the day for all their staff could come and hang out here, and you get access to the park and stuff. And yeah, it's got this little patio area with a little fire pit. Obviously you can see the last people here didn't clean up after themselves properly. And then we've got a little deck on the side here. Obviously there's a boat storage at the front here, and you can sit around the other side here. A little balcony at the front. Obviously once the rest of the park is completely finished, the views from this place are going to be really cool. It would be an absolute vibe just to sit here with a little drink and just take in the vibes, the sound of the lake. And I also just love this kind of lawn coming down, sweeping down here towards the shoreline. Yeah, really chuffed with how this came out. This building was kind of a labour of love. And it's actually based on a real boathouse, which is, I think it's a bed and breakfast now. It used to be just a house that someone lived in, and now it's a bed and breakfast, and it's on Lake George in New York State, I think. And I've had a reference image of this boathouse saved on my hard drive for like 6 years or something, and I kept thinking like, I'm going to build that in Planet Coaster at some point. And yeah, this just finally felt like the time to do it. I think it fits really well into the park, it fits with the vibe, and I think it kind of makes sense, as it would be this kind of historic building that maybe it was on the land before the park kind of expanded into this area, and when they bought the land they decided to keep the building. And yeah, I just love it. And then we've got this little slight patio area, which again would be part of the kind of event space. As you can see, we've got some folding tables and chairs here that haven't been fully put away yet. And obviously a little no entry sign, because when it's not in use we don't want guests just sort of wandering down there and messing with it. And yeah, that is basically about the size of it. I'm loving how this area came out. It feels quite refreshing to work on something kind of bright and colourful, and having these kind of tropical trees placed around after the kind of like more rustic areas in the rest of the park. This has felt like kind of a breath of fresh air to work on, and I think it came out really well. I love how cosy this area is. I made a coaster that I'm chuffed with, and this boathouse might just be my favourite thing I've made in the game so far. It's pure vibes. As for the next episode, I'm not exactly sure. I'm thinking I might like to have a cable car or a chairlift that goes across the lake here. I think that could be really fun. But I obviously need to see how this ride here develops before I put that in and decide exactly where it's going to go. It may be that it's not plausible, but it's an idea that I've been toying with, because I think it would be, you'd get really cool views, and obviously some people might not want to walk all the way around here. Yeah, as I say, very cool ride being worked on here, and as I said in the last episode, still not entirely sure what's going to go back here. I feel like we need another coaster. I think the spinning coaster probably would have been the most recent addition to the park, and then over here something else, maybe another Woody, like a slightly more extreme Woody, because this is obviously like a family Woody over here. So another wooden coaster could be cool around the back here. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. If you've got any suggestions for like a cool coaster that's not like super high budget, I'd love to hear your suggestions. And yeah, other than that, as always, thank you so much for watching. Treat people with kindness and respect, and have a good one. I will catch you next time. Bye!